It's June 18th, 7 a.m. Roberto Calvi's body
was found hanging beneath Blackfriars Bridge. Calvi wasn't just any banker. He was nicknamed the Banker of God. He carried bricks in his pockets. He had multiple currencies in his wallet. And yes, bizarrely, he wore 2 pairs of underwear. The London police called it suicide. But tell me, how do you hang yourself under a bridge with bricks in your pockets? To this day, investigators lean toward murder, a ritual killing. Today, I will take you into one of the most infamous collapses in modern finance. A bank tied to the Vatican, a banker nicknamed God's Banker, and a trail of money that ran through Mafia bosses, dictators, secret lodges, and yes, even the Cold War itself. This is not fiction. This is Banco Ambrosiano. Founded in Milan in 1896, Ambrosiano began as a modest institution. It served artisans, shopkeepers, and the middle class. But like any bank that learns to scale credit, it grew. After the Second World War, Italy boomed, and Ambrosiano grew with it. By the late 1970s, it was a major force. And at its helm stood a man named Roberto Calvi, the Banker of God. And you will see why. Because Calvi's bank was no ordinary bank. It was deeply entwined with the Vatican's financial arm, the Institute for Religious Works, known as the IOR. Imagine the Vatican, a state with no GDP, no factories, and no exports. Yet it collects money from across the globe. Tithes, donations, investments. Art so valuable, it makes museums jealous. The IOR was designed to manage those flows with prudence. But in the 1970s, under American Archbishop Paul Marcinkus, it became something else. The Vatican needed money for influence, for politics, for fighting communism. By 1978, with John Paul II elected Pope, money was flowing east to Poland to support movements like Solidarity in Gdansk. That money didn't travel in diplomatic bags. It flowed through banks, through shell firms, through Banco Ambrosiano. Now here's where trading theory comes in. When you move money through opaque structures, you create counterparty risk. You depend on actors you can't see, and the more layers you add, the less you control. Every trader knows this. Leverage multiplies exposure, and opacity multiplies danger. But Ambrosiano's clients weren't only ordinary people. They were far darker. Michele Sindona, the so-called banker of the Mafia, was a close friend of Calvi and Marcinkus. Sindona managed money for the Sicilian Cosa Nostra. His collapse in the late 1970s already hinted at systemic rot. Yet Calvi kept the flow alive. And then enters a fourth man, Laccio Gelli, head of the secret Masonic lodge P2. A man who kept a ledger listing politicians, generals, intelligence chiefs, and even Silvio Berlusconi when he was just a young developer. This was the shadow state. Imagine walking into a Roman hotel and seeing ministers, CEOs, and spies lining up outside a single suite. That was Gelli's power, and Calvi was in his orbit. The money flowed in strange directions. From Ambrosiano subsidiaries in Panama, Luxembourg, Honduras, and Switzerland. Some of it was washed cartel cocaine profits from Medellin. Some of it reached General Noriega in Panama, who at the time was backed by the Reagan administration for fighting communists in Central America. Some of it funded Polish resistance. Different flows, conflicting masters. And at the center, Calvi, executing orders that contradicted each other. By 1982, liquidity was gone. Ambrosiano tried rescue injections from Italian banks. Temporary, then gone. The accounts were chaos, billions missing. And then came June. On June 17, Calvi's secretary leaped, or was pushed from a window in Milan, leaving a note blaming him. Hours later, Calvi fled to London. And this is where we began our story. The suitcase of documents Calvi carried vanished. A missing suitcase that could have taken down half of Italy's establishment. But it never surfaced. Soon after, Ambrosiano collapsed. Creditors lost billions. The Vatican eventually paid around $250 million as a moral settlement. Meanwhile, others in the web fell too. Prosecutor Giorgio Ambrosoli, who had been investigating Sindona, was assassinated in Milan. Sindona himself faked his own kidnapping, shot himself in the leg, was caught, extradited, and in 1986, poisoned in prison coffee. Think that all of this is not a movie, not even inspired by a movie. This is the financial market. And yet, the system continued. Ambrosiano's remains were merged into a Veneto bank, only for that institution to later vanish in another collapse linked to ABN AMRO in the 2000s. The cycle repeated. So why do I tell you this? Because you must learn to read balance sheets like crime scenes. Look at liquidity, transparency, and counterparties. If a business depends on shadow players, don't touch it. If you can't trace flows, walk away. If someone promises you risk-free returns, walk away. Roberto Calvi wanted to serve too many masters. The Vatican, the Mafia, the Masons, the state. But he ended up under a bridge in London. Now, I don't show myself, but I give you stories like this. Because stories are X-rays. They show you the bones beneath the skin of finance. Learn them, and you will never be caught off guard. And one day, when silence falls in your market, you will know what it means. You will remember the man under the bridge. You will remember Banco Ambrosiano. And you will know when to step aside.